So, not too long ago, I posted the video about Jussie Smollett's um, charges being dropped. All 16 counts, all of that was dropped. As you know, he was indicted on basically lying to the police about a hate crime. Now, as doubtful as his story was, as I've stated, because a lot of people aren't hearing that part, I'm not saying that I completely believed him. I thought that the story was a lie from the beginning. However, that does not mean, as I've stated once again before, that I trust the Chicago police. Now, when I said that, somebody, I think of the Caucasian persuasion, I'm just going to guess based on her name, jumped down in my comments, and immediately she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're so biased because, the reason why things aren't solved in the black community is because, black on black crime, people don't talk. That's why things aren't solved in the black community. It's not because of the cops." All right, here you go. Sometimes I feel like I have to say something, because in all fairness, everybody doesn't always know, right? It's not because they're being like rude or completely ignorant, meaning they just don't know. All right. Maybe she just don't know. And I'm trying to be fair here to her instead of just dismissing this Caucasian lady. So let me just explain a little bit about the Chicago Police Department and why I have an issue with them. And also this whole thing, a lot of white people like to throw out every time something happens, and that's the black on black crime thing. Okay, I'll start with the Chicago Police Department. Now, I grew up, I'm in my 40s. I grew up in Chicago, born and raised there. All right. My brother, who spent 29 years in the state penitentiary, so just to kind of give you a background, I know a little bit about police, okay? And what I also knew as I grew up is I've watched guys get beat up by the CPD. I've literally seen it with my own eyes. I've also know that they have, beat people into confessions, making confessions of crimes that they didn't commit. I mean, my goodness, John Burge, he was one of those old crooked white cops who used to do that, who took part, who partake in that kind of stuff. And for the record, Chicago police has doled out a lot of money over the years because of that very thing. So I don't trust them. I know how they get down. All right. There have been cops that's been on the taking money from drug dealers to look the other way. It's a bunch of crooked as cops out there. And so forgive me if I'm skeptical when the Chicago Police Department says something and they want us to believe it. Look at the Laquan McDonald case, okay? That boy was shot 16 times. There was no need for one shot when he was walking away. Even if he was doing a crime, it doesn't matter. But this is how they treat our guys all the time, and we're supposed to take it, okay? We're supposed to just believe it because they say so? Hell no. Sorry, no. All right. Now, let me get on with the black on black crime stuff for a lot of people that don't necessarily understand this. I've heard black people bring up, well, what about black on black crime? What about black on black crime? Can I just share something with you guys? You do understand that crime happens everywhere. White on white crime, black on black crime, Chinese on Chinese crime, Latino on Latino crime. The point I'm making is crime is more likely to happen in the area in which you reside. It's about proximity. People are more likely to commit a crime against someone who is in close proximity to them. So it's not about blacks killing. If you only hear about blacks killing blacks, it's because the media is going to push that narrative to you. You don't think that white people commit crimes against white people? Of course they do, but you're not going to see it on the news. They don't want to share that narrative with you. They want to make you think that black people, black men in particular, are savages and all they do is kill each other. All right. But that's just not the case. That's not the case. That's the narrative. It's a difference. OK, so please miss me with the whole black on black crime thing. And so when she also mentioned that, black people don't speak up when a crime happens, you guys don't talk. You never say anything to anyone. OK. You have to understand this as well. Black people don't have a great working relationship with cops. I mean, the cops that usually work in Black communities don't even look like them. They don't. And so you asking me to trust somebody that I already know is already biased against me, already assumes that I did something wrong, and now I'm supposed to talk to him and tell him something. Now, listen, I'm not one of those people that promotes that no snitching stuff. I do wish that people would say stuff when things happen, but I can understand why they don't. All right. First of all, they're in fear of their lives because a lot of this crime in these kind of communities is cyclical. All right. Somebody gets shot. There's going to be some kind of retaliation. So you don't necessarily want to say anything, even if you saw something, because you might be the one next. It's a never ending cycle, and you don't want to even get involved in that. But that being the case, all this money that they dish out for more police officers on the street, that doesn't help. But what about all these cameras they got? They got all these cameras around here. And you mean to tell me that these cameras don't capture any kind of thing? Nothing's ever captured? I mean, seriously. So if you're asking us to sit here and put our faith into a system that was never designed for us to win, that's just crazy to me. So no, we don't have a great working relationship with cops. And no, I don't necessarily trust them. And this is coming from somebody that has several cops in my family. All right. One of my oldest cousins is a detective in the Chicago Police Department. All right. I have another cousin that's been on the force for about 30 years, a little over 30 years. All right. One of my closest friends from college, she's a Chicago police officer. So it's not like they've never heard me have these conversations. They have, and they even understand them. You have white people coming into our communities, policing Black people that are already under an intense amount of stress because of their poverty, because of their proximity to crime. Nobody ever mentions the fact that some of these kids deal with actual PTSD every single day. If you are witnessing shootings constantly, that has to wear on you. That has to mess with your brain. Okay. It's a lot of stuff that it's much more complicated than saying Black on Black crime or saying I'm biased because I don't trust the cops. You goddamn right I don't. I don't. And I should be able to. I should be able to know that if my son, my 20-year-old, is out there driving, I shouldn't have to worry that if he gets stopped by one of them, he might not come home. I shouldn't have to worry about that. You shouldn't have to worry about that. But if you're Black, you do have to worry about that. All right. You are more likely to have, your kid is more likely to having a negative encounter with a police officer than a white kid would. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. So let me bring it on back to the whole Jussie thing. I'm not sitting here saying Jussie was telling the truth. I actually think he was full of it. I do. I don't believe he was telling the truth. But that being said, that doesn't mean that I believe that the Chicago Police Department was on the up and up the entire time. They just needed a good PR story. You have to remember, they were just coming off of the whole trial with Laquan McDonald and the cop that killed Laquan McDonald. They needed a win. They needed a good PR story. So the minute that Jussie basically said that somebody had jumped him, they had about 25 detectives on one case. Why? What was the point of having 20 to 25 detectives looking out for one case? What? Because he was high profile? They needed it. He was high profile. Do you think that it had been any random guy on the street that said that he was jumped, that they would have had 20 detectives on it? Hell no. No, they needed the win. And furthermore, because they knew that he probably wasn't being truthful, they kept putting it out every day. Every day they talked about it. We've never seen anything like that in the city of Chicago about them talking about a case. There are people still out here to this day. None of the crimes have been solved. Girls have come up missing. We ain't heard nothing else about them. Nothing. It's a postal worker, a pregnant postal worker that went missing way back when, months ago. Haven't heard a thing about her. But Jussie was all over the news when this happened. So again, miss me with the whole thing about I'm biased and Black on Black crime. I don't want to hear no more of that. And I hope that for y'all that didn't understand what I was trying to say, I hope I educated you even a little bit. I do. I hope so. because it's about just having a conversation, and I hope this helps. So, once again, Chicago Police Department, I don't trust them. Sorry. Bye.